Have you ever asked yourself why there is so much evil in the world? I'm not only talking about wars and crimes, but also about the coldness in how people treat each other, the indifference towards suffering, and the selfishness we breathe everywhere. The burning question is, why are we capable of so much harm when we were created to love? The answer, although uncomfortable, is simple, because we have pushed God out of our lives. We have grown used to living without Him, making decisions without listening, and filling our days with material things as if that could replace eternity. The more we distance ourselves, the more emptiness we feel, and the more evil is unleashed in our hearts. A human being without God is like a ship without a rudder, drifting in a stormy sea. That is why we see so much violence, hatred, and darkness. When the heart is not filled with love, it inevitably fills with pride, resentment, and bitterness. Little by little, the absence of God opens the door to evil. We live in a society that teaches us that value lies in what you have, not in who you are. That the bigger your house, the more expensive your car, the flashier your lifestyle, the more successful you are. But what good is it to have it all if you are empty inside? Materialism is an idol that promises joy but leaves the soul in ruins. The human heart was created for God, not for possessions. When we try to fill it with money, pleasure, or power, we hit a wall of dissatisfaction. It is never enough. We always want more. That endless thirst slowly enslaves us to consumerism, turning us into puppets of a system that feeds on our greed. The prodigal son is the perfect example. He had everything with his father, but thought he would find more outside. He left, wasted, filled his life with things, but ended up empty, hungry, and humiliated. That is how many live today, far from the Father, believing abundance solves everything, when it only deepens the emptiness. Evil grows when humility is lost. Humility reminds us we are not gods, that we don't have ultimate control, that we need someone greater than ourselves. But when man becomes arrogant, when he believes he needs no one, when he locks himself in pride, he drowns in his own darkness. Look at today's world, social media overflowing with envy, families fighting over inheritances, betrayal for money, corruption that destroys nations. The root is always the same: hearts empty of God, hearts obsessed with possessions. The more we idolize the temporary, the more evil spreads. The absence of God doesn't show up overnight. It creeps in slowly when we stop praying, when we stop giving thanks, when we choose screens instead of the heavens. The enemy uses that neglect, and when we least expect it, evil has already settled in our homes, our families, and our societies. But all is not lost. The light of God is stronger than any darkness. Where sin abounded, grace abounded even more. No matter how far we've fallen into materialism, selfishness, or sin, there is always a way back. That way is to return to God with a humble heart. Humility is not poverty, nor weakness, nor self-hatred. Humility is acknowledging the truth that all we are and all we have comes from God. Nothing truly belongs to us. Everything is borrowed. When we understand this, we stop competing, stop envying, stop hating. Humility opens the door to peace. Look at Jesus, the Son of God, King of the universe, became man, lived in poverty, walked without luxuries, and washed the feet of his disciples. He showed us that true power is not in dominating, but in serving, not in possessing, but in giving, not in being first, but in choosing to be last. That is the cure for evil. The absence of God leads to violence, but the presence of God leads to forgiveness. The absence of God leads to pride, but the presence of God leads to humility. The absence of God leads to hatred, but the presence of God leads to love. It all depends on what we allow into our hearts. Today, many prefer to build temples to money, pleasure, and fame. Those temples are full of people, but empty of meaning. The soul cries for something deeper, something not bought or sold, the peace that only God can give. That peace cannot be found in shopping malls, only in His presence. Maybe you yourself have wondered why there is so much suffering in your life, so much disappointment, so many tears. The answer might be that you've tried to fill your heart with what cannot satisfy. Money is spent, luxuries fade, fame disappears. But God remains forever. If the world focused on cultivating faith instead of riches, our destiny would be different. A heart that knows God cannot harbor evil. It may fall, it may stumble, but it always returns to love. The difference lies in the root. What are you trusting in? What is eternal? Or what is passing away? The evil in the world is not God's fault. It is the result of leaving Him out. God doesn't impose Himself. He respects our freedom. And many have chosen to live without Him. The result is what we see: divided societies, broken families, hardened hearts. But there is always a way back. There is always hope. Forgiveness is essential to heal the world. Evil is not only defeated by laws or punishments, but by hearts that decide to forgive. Resentment is poison that kills from the inside. Only God gives the strength to forgive the unforgivable. Without God, hatred multiplies. With God, love heals all. Humility is not spoken, it is lived. And when a humble person enters a family, it transforms the atmosphere. When humility enters a company, it changes the culture. When it enters a nation, it inspires revolutions of peace. We don't need more arrogance. We need more humility, more hearts that recognize their need for God. History gives us clear examples. Saint Augustine, who sought in pleasures and riches, but found no peace until he returned to God. Saint Francis, who left all luxury to embrace simplicity and love, and so many others who discovered in faith the true treasure. They prove that another way of living is possible. I want to invite you to pause for a moment. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what place does God have in my life? What material things have me trapped? What am I depending on for happiness? If the answer is not God, then sooner or later emptiness will return. Only He can fill everything. The world needs more courageous hearts, willing to swim against the current of materialism. It needs families raising values, not appearances. It needs young people seeking purpose, not just likes. It needs adults who model faith, not just temporary success. The world needs God. It needs humility. Where God enters, evil flees. Where God enters, peace blossoms. Where God enters, hope is reborn. That's why the invitation today is clear. Open your heart. No matter what you've done, no matter how far you've run, there is always a place in the Father's arms. He never tires of waiting. Materialism promises freedom but enslaves. Humility looks like loss but brings freedom. Selfishness looks like strength but destroys. Love looks like weakness but conquers all. And every day we have to choose to live without God and evil or with Him in truth and light. It's not easy, no one said it would be, but it's worth it. It's worth resisting selfishness, worth being different in a world that applauds sin, worth raising your voice for truth even if it costs. Because the reward is great, a heart full of peace, a soul free, a life with eternal meaning. Today I leave you with this reflection. Evil is not invincible. God's love defeats it, but it all begins with you. Don't wait for the world to change if you won't change first. Don't wait for others to draw close to God if you keep Him away. Transformation begins in each heart. If we open our hearts, if we let God once again take His place, we will see less hatred and more love. We will see less evil and more goodness. We will see less materialism and more generosity. The world will not change through speeches, but through transformed hearts. So brother, sister, do not fear being different. Do not fear choosing humility in a world of pride. Do not fear putting God first even if others laugh. Because in the end, Only love remains. Everything material will stay behind, but love that is eternal. If you have listened this far, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for giving your time, your mind, and your soul to this reflection. My desire is that these words help you see life differently, to seek God above all, to sow humility where there is pride, and love where there is hatred. And before we finish, I want to ask you a favor. If this message touched your heart, please support by sharing it, leaving a comment, subscribing so we can grow together. Not for me, but so that more people may hear that there is hope, that there is a way out, that there is a God who loves us and wants to transform the world. Thank you for everything. May God bless you always. And remember, evil exists because we have pushed God out of our lives, but goodness is reborn when we let Him back in. It is never too late to return, never too late to begin again, never too late to love once more.